welcome back to the Basic Training Podcast, where we talk about preparation for the assignment. So today's video, we are talking about insecurities. Now, insecurities are characterized by a lack of confidence and a fear of rejection, failure, or judgment from others. So these are some signs of insecurities. Now, I chose ones that I've dealt with myself or are currently still dealing with. And so we'll talk about how to manage these insecurities, how to get to the root, and put action behind what you are learning. So some signs of insecurities are feeling inadequate, low self-esteem, uncertain of your value, self-sabotage, difficulty trusting others, difficulty giving and receiving compliments, fear of rejection and abandonment. So those are just a few signs. There are more signs of insecurities, and they all show up differently in each person. So no one's signs are the same. It's always going to be different for another person. So the causes of insecurities are past experiences, social conditioning, negative self-talk, attachment styles. So I'm going to break these down just a little bit. For me personally, so past experiences could be your childhood, could be trauma. So I said that for every action there is a reaction. So whatever happened in your childhood is possibly showing up now as an adult, because it may have been something that you just put a band-aid over. And I know for me personally, with insecurities, I've just put a band-aid over it and never really got to the root of the insecurity. And so I'm working on getting to the root of these things now. So social conditioning could be who you grew up around. So for me, I grew up around a lot of heavy-set people, and me being skinny person in the family, there was not a lot of positive self-talk. There was a lot of negative self-talk and not really liking their body type or what they had on. And so that impacted the way that I saw myself now, today. Now, okay, you might be saying, like, what is she talking about? Talking about the way that I view my body now. And so the way that I seen them view their body is the way that I am now viewing my body, and it's showing up negatively. And so I don't have necessarily a love for my body, but I'm beginning to love myself and see myself the way that God sees me and the way that He has made me to be. So that's what I mean when I say that social conditioning, negative self-talk. So being the worst critic of yourself with whatever you're doing and talking down on yourself and not showing up for yourself and not speaking life into yourself, because all you see is the negative things of a situation and you never really see the positive. And so then with your attachment styles, so you have insecure attachment styles. It could be anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. And so those are just different attachment styles that you can have when you are insecure about yourself. So some examples of insecurities would be body image, social insecurity, relationship insecurity, and perfectionism. And I'm gonna break these down too. So I've already touched on body image, feeling fat or just not liking the way that God created me, which that is honestly a slap in the face to Him, because you're telling Him you could have created me better. So when it comes to my body image, I maybe present as if I love my body and I love, who I am within this body. But again, I slapped a band-aid over an insecurity that I personally had. The social insecurity is fear of failure, fear of rejection, people pleasing, you're being shy, you're being quiet. A lot of fear is rooted in an insecurity. So when it comes to the social insecurity, something that I learned in therapy is that the trauma that I experienced growing up has still affected me till this day. So the fear of failure, fear of rejection, I had a lot of fear growing up because I didn't want to get hurt or be harmed. And so I had to put on a mask, I had to put on a facade and, put my best foot forward. And that's where a lot of the fear has stemmed from. The relationship insecurity. So a lot of times we doubt the relationship, whether it's platonic or not. We doubt whether that person truly loves us the way that they say they do, or we doubt that their intentions are pure because we're just ready for something bad to happen, So with the perfectionism, it's the inability to accept mistakes or imperfections. We always have to be perfect. It has to be to a T, and if it's not, cut it off. It's done. And so we don't like to make mistakes. And so when we do, we beat ourselves up for the mistake that we made. But if you really think about it, it's not even a mistake. And if it is, learn from it and switch how you can fix this mistake. So how do we deal with insecurities? And now this is something that I had to ask the Holy Spirit to help me with, because I didn't know how to deal with it. These things were, coming to the forefront, but how do I deal with something that I don't even know how to deal with, if that makes sense? So invite God into the things that you like and don't like about yourself. I've been talking to God. I'm like, okay, God, help me to see myself the way that you see me, because what I see is something that I don't like. And it doesn't even matter that I don't like it. You created me, so help me to see what you created. And so tell God about everything. Tell him about the little stuff, whether it's good or bad. Tell him about something that you might think is so small, but he wants to hear it. Tell him about it. And when you tell him about it, allow him to change your perspective and how you view yourself, or view the situation, or view the thing that you are handing over to him. So it's all in a perspective change. It's all in a mindset change. A mindset shift has to take place when you are dealing with these insecurities. So again, asking the Holy Spirit, asking God to help you to view yourself the way that he sees you, to change what you don't like about yourself, to change what you think is wrong or what you think is a mistake, to what he saw fit to create and said it was perfect. And then also speaking life over yourself. This is hard sometimes because we may not have the words or the life-giving words to say, or we may not believe what we are saying. And so you have to challenge these negative thoughts. You have to challenge these insecurities, because insecurities are from the enemy to stop you from moving the way that God needs you to move, from stopping you from seeing yourself the way that God sees you, from stopping you from loving yourself truly or being loved. So these are the enemy's ways of trying to stop what God has created. So you have to challenge the enemy. You have to challenge these thoughts, challenge these insecurities, and get to the root of them. And when you get to the root, you have to allow God to remove those insecurities, but you have to also put in the action to properly deal with these insecurities. And one last thing I would say, to also practice gratitude and focus on your growth. Gratitude is so important, because when you are grateful for things, you could be grateful with the smallest thing, but it's something to think about, to meditate on. meditate on what you are grateful for. And so also focusing on your growth and not in where you feel that you are lacking or where you think you aren't growing. It's a lot of, again, a mindset shift. I think it's all in what you say and how you are perceiving whatever is going on in your mind. So focus on the growth that you are experiencing and celebrate yourself for the growth. Somebody else is not going to celebrate you because they might not see it as growth. But if you see it as growth, celebrate yourself for that thing. So these insecurities are nothing but the enemy's tactics to get you to not operate out of your God-given potential, to not see yourself the way that God sees you, because he knows you better than you know yourself. He knows who God created. He knows what God has literally put on the inside of you, and so he's trying to stop what is on the inside of you. And so we cannot allow him to stop us from healing and becoming whole. So we have to get to the root of these insecurities. We have to give them to God, and we have to talk to him about it so that he can uproot what needs to be uprooted.